Today we're going to be tackling one of the biggest challenges that CPC examinees face, and that is time management, because let's be real, between having to learn all of the different code sets and insurances and modifiers and MUEs and NCDs and LCDs, and then you have to mix in your real life, it's easy to feel like your study schedule has gotten completely out of control and it's just like a dumpster fire rolling downhill. But I've got you, because by the end of this video, you should have a clear game plan to manage your time effectively before you even start taking the CPC exam, and then also during the CPC exam, so that you can walk in feeling confident and hopefully walk out certified. By the way, if you're new here, hey, I'm Victoria. I'm a medical coder, auditor, educator, and content creator. And on my channel, I provide tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you be successful in a medical coding career. If you haven't already, highly encourage you to subscribe, do all the YouTube things, hit the notification bells, and also consider maybe some channel membership. But first, let's start with the why. Why is time so important? Well, medical coding is really very productivity based and very accuracy based. They want to make sure that you are coding a certain amount of charts an hour and that you're being productive. I can't tell you how many charts or how many codes per hour, because it's going to vary very greatly depending on the type of coding you're doing, where you're working, what systems you're in, all kinds of stuff. But let's talk about the CPC exam. So the CPC exam itself is 100 questions and you have 4 hours. So that gives you about 2 minutes and 24 seconds, so like about 2.5 minutes per question. Now, for some questions that may seem very generous until you hit one of those like 2-page op notes about an excision and then a reconstruction, and then they're taking them back to the OR, and suddenly your brain starts to just buffer. So good time management isn't optional, it's pretty necessary. So the first thing you really need to do is start working on time management before you even sit for your certification exam, if you can, if you're at that point, because you want to make sure that you're breaking down things that you have enough time at the end to work on your speed. So like month 1, maybe you learn medterm, compliance, ICD-10-CM. Next couple of months, you're going to focus on CPT, like 1 section per week. Surgery is going to need a lot. E&M is going to need a little extra. And then once you're done with that, focus the next few weeks on practice exams and doing review to prepare for the certification exam. Now, if you only have a few weeks left or even a few days left before you're sitting for your exam, you really need to focus in on your weakest areas. For a lot of people, that's going to be either cardiology or E&M, or possibly even both. You can do things like use the Pomodoro technique, which is where you study in focused 25-minute blocks with a 5-minute break in between. Your brain really does need to take a little tiny rest so that you can actually remember what you're studying, not just think that you're going to siphon it all up and suck it in like a coding zombie. So if you do like 4 Pomodoros, 25 minutes of study, 5-minute break, that's about 2 hours of study, and that's a lot more effective than this trying to cram in like 5 hours while you're also like scrolling TikTok and kind of distracted. Prioritize your practice exams. Honestly, go through them a couple of times, and each time make sure that you're paying attention to the time. Time yourself, recreate the real conditions, and then review your mistakes in detail. Make sure that you're paying attention to the time. Even set yourself up with like, hey, I'm going to pretend like I'm setting up, if you're doing it remote, like I'm going to pretend like this is the remote environment, that I'm going to log in, that I have my ID, that I've got my bottle of water, and see how it goes. If you're taking a 50-question practice exam, you should be finishing that in about 2 hours. You could break it down even more if you want. Let's say, hey, I've only got an hour. You should be able to finish 25 review questions in that hour. And you might think, Victoria, I don't have a practice exams, or I don't have money to buy the official practice exams. There's other things that you can check out. CCO.us has a free practice exam. It's not a full 100 questions, but it's a smaller one that you can use. And if you have a textbook, check your textbooks and workbooks, because oftentimes there are practice exams at the end of it. If you have a CPC study guide, they include practice questions. Use the materials that you have. And honestly, really track what is slowing you down, because it could be things like second guessing, overthinking, or maybe you're just staying on one question too long. Now, as far as exam day strategy, the CPC exam, a lot of people think it's linear, that you have to finish all of the questions in order, but you can jump around. Make sure you watch the tutorials. I have one. The APC, when you register for your exam, will send you links to show you what the exam platform looks like so you know how to skip questions. Every question on the exam has the same weight. So one question that's something about the blood flow of the heart is 1 point. A 3-page operative report is also 1 point. So if you get those questions that you're like, this is going to take some time, you can flag that and come back to it later. If it's something that you're not confident in, like E&M or radiology, you can save those for later. Just be very, very careful at the end of your exam to make sure that you go back. Because if you're just hitting next question, it might suddenly switch that button over to finish exam. And if you hit that finish exam button, that's it. It's submitted. You can't go back. So there are ways to go back really easily to those flagged questions by going into the content and finding your flagged questions, but you need to know how to confidently navigate the platform in order to do it. So trial a few things ahead of time, especially if you've purchased the official practice examinations. You can use things like the 3-pass system, which, pass 1 is you answer all of the easy questions without hesitation. Just go through and you're like, I know this one, I can figure this one out real quick. Do those. Pass 2, go through the medium ones that need a quick look up. And then pass 3, return to those tough cases that need some deeper reading that you're like, oh gosh, they've got, 5 CPT codes and 10 ICD-10s. I don't think they're going to be that, but a lot of different codes that you would need to double check. Don't get stuck in the chaos. Flag things and come back to them. And keep an eye on the clock. There is a timer in the CPC exam. You can minimize it if you're like really panicked about it, or if you need to open it up periodically, you can do that as well. So, after your first hour, you should have about 25 questions, and then after 2 hours, you should have around 50 questions done. That last little bit of time that you have, if you have some extra time at the end, go back, review ones. You might even want to flag ones that you're like, I'm not 100% on this. So if I have extra time, I'm going to go back and take a look at it. I've had exams that I've taken where there's a question where I'm like 80% sure this is right. And then later on, there's a question that maybe incorporates something from that condition. And I'm like, oh, that actually makes me now 100% sure that I got that right. And some people swear that their exam goes a lot faster when they tab and highlight your books. Now, you don't have to bring paper books. You can elect to use eBooks, and you can use the eBooks at no additional cost. They will embed them in your exam platform. You will have access to them only during the exam, so you can't try them out ahead of time or have access to them afterwards. But it is something that is cost effective if you have an older book or what have you. But some people, they're like, nope, I need my highlights, my notes. I want to turn my code books into like a craft project. No hate, but just be very careful, because this isn't about making fancy decorations on your book. It's about increasing your speed strategy. So mark what can help you answer questions faster. For example, if you have some things that you want to write about med term or anatomy of the heart, your ICD-10-CM book might have illustrations of the blood flow of the heart, or illustrations just of the heart itself. That might be a great spot to write those med term things. Maybe there's some prefixes or suffixes or root words that you're like, oh, I can never seem to remember these, or even medications that maybe you want to remember. Put those strategically in certain spots. If you just have your note pages filled up with a whole bunch of scattered everything, it's not going to be helpful when you're flipping through going, where did I put this? Because you have so many highlights and so many notes. You have to be very strategic about it. Now, going back to eBooks, if you're using eBooks, you're not going to have notes or bookmarks or highlights, but you will be able to navigate faster. There's a little magnifying glass, and you can click that and search. So if you're searching for hypothyroidism, you can just type in hypothyroidism and navigate faster to that diagnosis code. Try some things out. Develop a system that works for you. So maybe if you're someone who's like, oh yeah, I have to write a note to go to Appendix A for my full modifier descriptions, or hey, you have to have this add-on code with this different, circle and highlight what is important to you. Page numbers. Maybe there's certain things that come up commonly, like OB stuff. They like to ask OB questions on the CPC exam. So maybe you want to have some certain notes on that page. Maybe there's a grid or something that you want to write. A lot of the books, especially the ones with the APC, they have some blank pages with little lines on them that say notes. So use those. The only limitations of what you cannot write in the books is you can't write your study guide in the book. You can't write study guide questions or practice exam questions in the book. Anything that's like daily kind of coding notes, or if you want to write some little terms, that's all fair game. And then finally, you need to control your test day energy. So make sure that you have a good breakfast or have a good lunch if you're taking it in the afternoon. Be hydrated. I know it's tempting to just chug a gallon of iced coffee, but you really need to have some good water. You don't want to be so caffeinated that you're like freaking out. So yeah, you don't want to have upsets on your exam day because of that. And once you're done and you hit submit, like, just take a deep breath. Don't overanalyze every question afterward. Celebrate the fact that you made it through a seriously tough professional exam. And even if you don't pass the first time, which a lot of people don't, your next attempt will be stronger because now you know exactly what to expect. So there you have it, effective time management for your CPC exam from start to finish. If this helped you, hit that like button and drop a clock in the comments because your time is valuable. And if you're still preparing, check out my video, The Most Missed CPC Exam Questions, because that covers a lot of the concepts that people miss on the exam, and they get asked a lot more or appear a lot more on the CPC exam. And if you need a review course before the CPC exam, I have one that I have specially curated for you guys that you can purchase on contempocoding.com. Otherwise, there's a free playlist you can watch on the channel as well. I will see you guys in the next video, and until then, just keep on coding on.